Y'all, today I am beyond excited because you know that in this present internet digital world, so many people are becoming entrepreneurs. And part of it is because what is happening with this economy? We all feel like we need side hustles. Everyone is trying to get a different job or another job or replace job. And it's just hard in these streets. And I want to talk about how this has been on everyone's mind. People are really thinking about work. It's not just about getting a job or keeping a job. I think a lot of us are reinventing who we are and making sure that the place that we're spending the most hours of our life is in alignment with the life we want to build. And for that reason, if the last few years haven't taught us anything, it's that the workplace has changed. And because things have changed, we need to make sure that we're aligned with an expert, someone who has spent all this time navigating it and can tell us where things are going. And that's why I brought in my good friend, Rayla Bailey. Now, you may have heard of her. She's kind of one of those best kept secrets. Every coach's coach, she deals with executive leadership. She deals with career coaching. But what I really love about her is she turns this time that can feel so scary and like such a struggle into something that's really strategy based. And I know that as a professional, as someone who's managed to stay out of the workforce, the traditional workforce for so long, I know that part of why I had that success while I was there was because I did have a strategy. And I want to make sure that if you are currently in the messy middle of leaving your last thing and heading to your next thing, that you have someone who's going to teach you what you need to know and not just textbook things. I want it to be someone who has lived it because, that's how we do it here. We keep it very real. Someone who's navigated what it's like to go through a layoff, someone who has dealt with building a network from scratch, right? None of these experts out here who went viral twice and then all of a sudden they think they know everything. I want you to have someone who's changed industries, crushed these industries, negotiated salaries, and done it all in this economy. Aha, right? The good stuff. So today, I'm introducing you to the person you need to know to make sure that your next chapter looks exactly the way you want it to. Meet my friend, Rayla.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. That was a great one. Yes.
Yes.
That was me.
Yes, that's you. That's all of you. And I want you to know that I do really appreciate the fact that you are spending your time talking to us about this, because the truth is, I think that everyone listening right now could use a dose of hope. And I say hope because there's so many people who, even if they are in the job, that they're like happy to be employed right now and they're, it's working fine. They may not hate it. We want to feel hope that if we do want to strategically change later, we can. You know what I mean? Like whether it's for time, money. I mean, what are all the reasons people leave or quit jobs?
Time, money, toxic environment.
Toxic, that's real.
Lack of flexibility.
Yeah, all the things, right? Or changes within the workplace that, maybe everything was great, but,
or
maybe
company reorgs, it's out of your control.
Exactly. Yeah. New CEO, whatever. So, because we don't control those factors, I think that right now some people may be feeling some hope or fear or anxiety that if something were to change, whether it's personally or within the company, I can't do anything. And what I love about you is I feel like, you're my favorite hope dealer. You know what I mean? Like you're the person I can come to who's going to tell me, look, there's a chance for you. So before we get into the ins, the whats, the whys, all of that, I want to ask you an outright question. For the people who are laid off right now, for the people who feel underemployed, or for the people who are saying, I don't know what my career pathing is it even worth it right now to have a little bit of hope?
Absolutely, it is. People are still getting hired every day.
It doesn't sound like it.
Still getting hired. So I would say stay off the internet. So one thing I would say is stay off the internet. That's one of the first things I say. You meet a new client and it's like, and I saw this and we're going to just shut the internet down for a second because it is overwhelming. It is overwhelming to go on LinkedIn, for example, and see 1,000 people applied. It's just a lot of information that can make you hopeless. So number one is stay off the internet. Number two is stay ready, right? You're overwhelmed because it feels like a huge lift to get prepared. It's like, I got to do my resume and my LinkedIn and the networking and the applications. It's not, we have a strategy and a process for that as well. So I tell people don't freak out. There's a lot that's out of your control, but there's a lot that's in your control. And that part is what I'm really good at. So there is hope. People are still getting hired every day, making more money than the job description said. So it's happening.
And you're
see
seeing that hands-on, right?
In real time.
Okay,
Yep.
so in real time, you are seeing
these are my clients.
Your clients are getting placed into jobs. Like, can you mind without saying too much, a little bit of tea, right?
Mm-hmm.
What type of numbers are you talking about? Are we talking about just like
$50K? So I have a client this year.
Increases.
She's an attorney.
Wow.
I want to say she's in Philadelphia. And she received an offer $50,000 over what the job description said.
Wow. And was she unemployed for like 3 years? Or
she was not unemployed for 3 years, but she was unemployed for about 6 months and took time to travel. She's an attorney. She does well. And that's what it was. She got married and she took some time off to do that. But she went back into a very good paying job.
Wow. So I mean, I love hearing hope stories now.
And she had, because it's all going to come back when I talk about them.
Yeah.
She had multiple offers. She got to choose.
Okay, girl. So y'all, I hope you're hearing this right now. And this is why she's here, partly because, again, if we're drowning out all the noise, if we're getting rid of all the things that we're hearing that are the negative stories, frankly, like what I hear more than anything before is creator economy. I will even say maybe I'm a little guilty of it, where I'm always saying like we need a side hustle and all that. And I still do believe that, call it the African in me. Everybody got to have their own thing going on, right? There's nothing wrong with adding a little extra income, but I also have never been anti 9 to 5. You know what I mean? Like there is something nice about a PTO. Girl loves, them benefits, and that regular W-2 check ain't nothing to sneeze at. So knowing that all those things are true, I want to know a little bit more about your life, and how you are applying that to get these people $50K increases because, girl, what, right? You've been laid off. You've been promoted. You've changed industries. You've negotiated 6-figure salaries. What do you think has taught you the most about you?
Know thyself.
Do you think you learned that the hard way?
Yes, a little bit.
I like that you were like, am I going to lie right now? I'm not going to lie. Tell me, so how'd you learn? What happened? What was the moment?
Yeah. So when I think about my corporate to entrepreneur journey, for example, my background's in commercial real estate finance, and I'm good at that, but have no business doing that with my communication degree and like doing coaching, right? So it really just went against who I am and what I'm really good at. Me coaching is in my zone of genius, whereas that work, I can do it and do it well, but it's painful, right? So I think it is getting laid off and not fighting the pull and the call to become a coach. So it's a personal journey there. But I could very well still be working in corporate and finance and not doing this really fulfilling work that has a tremendous ripple effect.
Was there a particular day or moment or occurrence in corporate where you were like, this ain't for me?
Yes.
Oop. Okay. Well, I was going to say, it's funny because I think most of us have that. And some people listening right now might be sitting in their car saying, girl, I'm sitting in the moment.
Yeah.
So, what was it? What happened?
Yeah. So in 2017, I was working in commercial real estate finance, multifamily affordable housing specifically. And part of my job as an asset manager was to go touch properties. So I had to go across the country, the Midwest and everywhere, like small rural areas, tribes, like Native American tribes and different places. And this was when, not to get dark, but this was when there was, I want to say, a shooting in Minnesota. And
sadly, we're in America, so I mean, like it was like yesterday to the day
it was
before,
like somebody getting pulled over or something like that.
Sure.
And I remember going to plan my trips because you have to plan your entire trip, and prolonging my travel. And I realized, like, I don't want to go do that by myself. I'm kind of scared to go do that by myself. And then I did go on a trip, and I get pulled over for speeding. Totally normal. Like, totally legit. The guy was overly compensating. Right. And he was ma'am and nice and being so nice. But I got out, like, once I pulled away, and he didn't give me a ticket. Once I pulled away and I had my partner at the time on the phone with me, I was just like bawling.
And been there.
Yeah.
Been there, girl.
And you're shaking.
Yeah, your nerves, anxiety, all of it.
I hope it all goes well because in that moment you're thinking, I don't know, like this might be literally it.
Yeah, it feels like life or death.
Yeah,
and then when so I think what you're speaking to, for anyone who's not familiar, we're speaking to something that is a different subset of conversation, but being Black in America, that one thing that we deal with, not just in our personal lives, but also in the workplace. Because at least in our personal lives, if there's a neighborhood that we know isn't favorable towards our appearance, if we know that there's certain spaces that could be a higher threat, we can avoid them, the best we can. But when you work, I really relate to this. When I was in corporate America, all my clients were based in Southern territories. So I was responsible for all client, in my book, from Maryland down to Florida over to Texas. So there were certain states, my counterpart in my work was a white male with blonde hair and blue eyes. So there were certain states I just didn't go. So I just never went to Mississippi. I just never went to Alabama. I just never went to Arkansas. I would go to Southern Florida. I would go to Atlanta. I would go to various areas. I never went to certain areas in South Carolina. So, that was my choice, but I was never comfortable going by myself and driving around to visit, a small client off of a rural road because I just did not know. And so I'm sorry that happened, and I completely relate, but I understand that, it's not quite a toxic work environment, but the awareness of something's got to give.
Yeah. I had an incredible employer at the time, but I'm going to properties and I look really young for my age and it's just me. And I'm going with I'm in the investor coming to ask questions and show you maybe what you need to improve upon. And somebody, related, but somebody called my boss because it was like, who is this person? And they were doing, it's like, I went and did my job really well.
Sure.
And he had to defend me. Right. But I just remember thinking like, I just don't know what I'm going to get because you have to take pictures at the property and people are like, who are you? And why are you taking normal?
Yeah.
Right?
Normal.
Why are you taking pictures of our place? Et cetera. And so there's just more to it than traveling for work. People think, you're staying at the Ritz, when you're traveling for work. And I'm
it's
staying
not
in
that
rural,
usually.
rural Kansas.
Right. The nicest spot is the DoubleTree or the Holiday Inn,
exactly.
And everything closes at 10. And corporate travel, I think, is often, honestly, I think a lot of things in corporate are just kind of glamorized because as a millennial, you grow up thinking, this is the dream corner office, and once you've been in it or in it for a while, you realize maybe it's not as glamorous, even if we're grateful still.
Right. But I just had a visceral, like, I'm not getting on the road and going and doing that, not knowing. And the climate was weird at the time. Yeah. This is 2017, not even. And so I just remember thinking, like, I'm just not doing it.
Yeah, and
I'm going to do something else.
Well, so knowing that some people are in today's job market, definitely feeling that, but also feeling like there's no place to go from there. What would you say professionals are getting wrong about this job market?
Yeah.
Y'all didn't, if you're just listening, you didn't see, this is the best thing about Rayla. She gave a little shimmy. Like, I want you to know that her confidence is 90%, I think, of the work you do, right? Like, obviously, you know your stuff. Obviously, you know how to negotiate these bonuses and placements. But the truth is, you get to lend belief, and I think hopefully you guys are like picking that up right now. Like, I need somebody who believes this is possible, because sometimes it can feel so doom and gloom. So people are getting something really wrong. What is it? What made you shimmy right now?
Stay ready. So in that scenario, I was doing my first business that essentially led me to do coaching, but I already had a way to make money on the side that was a proven concept, and I was making actual money, and I was stepping more into coaching. So I did not just jump and hope for the best. I had, a savings, and I had some spare money, if you will, to go do that. And then life worked out where I had, moved in with my partner at the time. Like, the math made sense for me to be able to leave my job. And I've never just left a job with not a plan or a strategy.
So talk about that, girl, because that is something I think the internet has people out here believing a lie, that even if you're in a 9-to-5, like, you don't need to quit your 9-to-5 and then start looking for the next one, right? So so you're actually professionally saying, I say it, but I don't think sometimes people hear me. You're the pro. Tell us about that.
Please don't do that.
Okay. Yeah. So what do you recommend? Like, if someone, assuming we'll get to if they're laid off tomorrow, because I think people have that anxiety too. But if someone is saying right now, I know I'm like semi-secure, but I maybe don't like it, is now the time to look, or should they wait till there's a problem?
stay ready is what I would say. So I was ready to take the leap and I pushed that. Like I left in July and I was supposed to have done my visits, starting in August. So I pushed it. Don't do that. But I pushed it until the very last minute and then bowed out gracefully. And my company at the time was a sponsor of mine. Like I had their full support. And they were like, go do that. You're doing great. But you can always come back, right? So that in and of itself is a strategy.
Right.
But for folks right now, it's say, stay ready. When I talk to clients, I'm like, this is the last time that I want you to feel this. Because you're going to be prepared next time. Now you feel overwhelmed with all the job search assets and all the things that you need to do. We're going to start doing it now. So that if you do get laid off in 3 months, we don't need to freak out. We just need to turn up the heat on what we're already doing. So I would say, don't wait until you need something.
Right.
To start looking. One, you should be looking so that you are benchmarking your role so that you know you're paid fairly and have the right title, et cetera. How do you know that if you don't do some due diligence? But I would say, stay ready. You never know when an opportunity will be available to you. And you don't want to put that person on hold because you have to go update your resume.
That's good.
Right?
That's really good.
So I would tell people, stay ready. Don't freak out.
Stay ready so you don't have to
Just
get ready.
do little steps. Yeah, along the way. Yep.
So let's just talk then to people who are laid off already, right? What are the first 3 things that they should do? Like I went into the office. We're talking, didn't see it coming. Do you know what I mean? Went into the office, found out, because this has happened, here in LA, Sprinkles, the cupcake company, super popular. Actually, there's a couple of companies. Sprinkle, I think Voodoo Donut is another one. What is it with pastries? I don't know. But basically these companies, people are showing up the next day and finding out, hey, we're closed, go home. Like, and partly for, this is not me protecting capitalism or corporations, but they're like, we can't pay you another day of work. You know what I mean? So you have to go home because legally we would not be able to issue a check, so we can't clock any more hours. But hello, these people are literally thinking that they're going to have their check on Friday and now they're short whatever monies, like that is, I think, the worst case layoff. Like corporate layoffs, may have severance packages or they may have transition plans and all the fancy pants trimmings. But what does it look like if I worked at Sprinkles, came in thinking everything's normal and the doors are locked? What's the first 3 things I should do?
Stay off the internet. Number 1. Okay, don't go, because it's like almost a self-fulfilling prophecy where it's like doom and gloom. You're going to go find doom and gloom. Like, of course, everyone's getting laid off. Of course, everybody can find a job, right? And you start talking about it and you're going to get swarmed with that information. So 1 is stay off of the interwebs.
So interwebs also being like a
social
catch-all
media,
for anything negative, like the group chat with all the employees and people in there complain, like it's not good for us. Protect your mind.
Protect your mind.
Okay.
Stay off the internet. Okay. The second thing I would say is start with your network, because people think that resume, right? But we're going to start with our network because you just never know, right? We're going to start telling people that we're looking, not that we were laid off necessarily, right? I am looking. So everyone that you meet and talk to everywhere, you don't know who is out in the world, right? So I say start with your neighbors. If you go to church somewhere.
I would never think of those things as like those relationships as
everybody.
Yeah, because everyone labels it as I need to look for someone in my sector or industry. But you're saying anybody could be your potential connection. Not anybody, everybody.
Everybody.
That's good.
You don't know what people do.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe
or who they know.
Or who they know or who they are married to. Like you just don't know, right?
Yeah.
And so it's not about who you know. It's about who you know knows.
Yes. No, that's fair. I have a good friend who keeps an email list of Black women who are either out of work or freelancers or have capacity. And she'll just email that list out periodically to like her email list or her friends. And people have gotten jobs, and the thing is not even just jobs, checks. Right? Like they've just gotten a check that covered the rent that month or that got us through whatever. So no, that's really, really good. Like talk to the gardener, talk to the mailman, talk to whoever.
Everybody, right? Yeah. And it's also like the gardener might be gardening because that's his passion, but his wife is a CEO of your dream company.
Tell him. That's true.
So I think it's having your, you don't get if you don't ask and just kind of having your mouth open, but we're not saying, hey, I was laid off. We're saying, hey, what do you do? It needs to be reciprocated. This is what I'm looking for. So the third thing is and I don't like elevator pitch because there's a lot of pressure around that.
It is.
but being able to help people help you. So when someone's like, what are you looking for? You need to be able to say, I'm looking for another sprinkles-like company that makes this kind of cookie and does this kind of thing.
Know who you are to help make it easy for them to tell the story.
Right.
Yeah, that's
so if
good.
I just say I'm laid off and I'm looking for something in finance, that's just not helpful for people to help you. So when you hear of something in finance, you're not going to necessarily think of me. But if I say commercial real estate finance, multifamily affordable housing, specifically an asset manager that looks at this, that, and I got so granular that if you see it or hear it or come across it, you're going to instantly think of me because it's so specific. So get really clear about what you're looking for. Save the I got laid off story.
Yeah.
It's just nobody cares. I can't do anything with that.
And looking is the truth. You are looking. Why you're looking, no one needs to know that.
Yeah, I'm open to opportunities.
No, this is good. So I want to speak to I have daughters in their 20s. We have Gen Z listeners. This is Dear Media. Shout out Dear Media. So what advice? Because people always say our parents don't get it. Millennials don't get it. All of that. And that's fair. I legit look at my girls right now and I'm like, I feel so bad about sort of the extra things that they now have to carry that other people may not have. So everyone wants to be a creator right now. Everyone's trying to do that because it just seems like at least you have some control over your destiny, right? So I want to know, what is the biggest absolute lie that people heard in 2015, right? Career advice lie that would not be helpful at all and would totally fail you in 2026?
Just get started.
So in 2015, people just start, just get out there. I believe in you. Just get out there. It'll totally work for you. If you're still trying to follow that now, if someone's saying the best thing you can do is start today, that's bullshit.
We need a strategy because just get started is just quit your job. Just
go for it. Believe in it. Jump, whatever, YOLO. Right?
Yeah, we're not doing that. Not in this economy. And just period. So I would tell them, it's not just get started. And here's an example. So I'm a mentor for my alma mater. Mm-hmm. And one of the projects that they do is social media, marketing, communications, internships for nonprofits during the summer. Mm-hmm. They do a presentation at the end of that to show how they helped, what they learned, et cetera. So my folks that I'm mentoring, I say with Canva and Adobe and all these tools and resources that can create graphics now with AI, it's even more. You being able to post something isn't very special anymore. But what is special and unique, because remember, you're getting a degree in communication, is what are the metrics? You need to be able to come in. What's going to be the differentiator is you showing they started at this and this was effective. And now they have this. Right. We posted this fundraiser and last year they posted, but when I did it, they had a 20% increase in attendees. They raised $100,000 more dollars. We need to be able to touch it and measure it and explain why. How do you know if it's working?
So, okay, I want to make sure I understand what you're saying here. Because I shout this out to my kids all the time. Mm-hmm. And I think that this is if you are Gen Z, if you are Gen Alpha, I really want you to hear me. It's not that I think millennials, if I'm understanding you correctly, are knocking social media or creator work or anything like that, marketing as a career. It's that it's not just about can you do the work, it's can you analyze the why behind the what. Can you tell us why the thing you did worked? Because if you know that answer, I know you can repeat it and I know you can do it for me.
Right.
And I will pay for that all day.
And that's the skill.
That's the
anybody
skill.
Can post.
Got it.
We're looking for the critical thinking.
AI can post for me now, and that's the issue, right?
We're looking for analytical thinking, understanding why something, being able to look at something and go, that probably isn't going to work because X, Y, Z.
See, and I think that just speaking to, general mediocrity, right? This is a whole thing that I'm on right now is, I think that there are a lot of people who don't realize they're mediocre. And I say that in the most kindest, tender, holding your hand, gently while I say it type way. I think people don't realize that they're average as fuck, and it's and earmuffs for those of you who are listening and not expecting it, my bad, but I genuinely don't think people realize it. I think that there are people out there who genuinely thought like, I'm performing awesomely because I can post with this regularity and I'm able to get out there and like, look at they said they wanted 8 to 12 reels a month. I did 8 to 12 reels a month. But listen, if they're all missing the mark, if none of them are actually hitting the need, if none of them are speaking to my product.
What's the ROI?
What was even the point? You actually did nothing, but they were beautiful, but they were gorgeous, but I nailed the trend. Right. But none of that made sense for me, my brand, or got me any results.
Why was it a trend?
Boop.
Explain the trend.
Why'd you pick that trend for my business? And so, it's using and learning that because that's what people are actually hiring and paying for.
Right.
And that's actually, I think, where like AI can't beat you, right? AI is only as good as the information you put in it. So I know that for me, like being a business owner, I can't even hire someone to use AI if they don't even know what to put in it. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I'd love to hire you. It's not even that I replaced you with AI. It's that like you couldn't even use it. Like, or you can't even check AI's work. So not you put something in AI, it gave you something wrong and you don't even know it's wrong.
Right.
So and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Like, are you scared of AI, or are your clients scared of AI, or do they feel like AI is replacing and taking their jobs? And what's your say on that?
I'm using AI. It's been really fun to use it. I'm using it to update my website, for example, but I'm using it with my brain because I know that I know what I want to say. The information is up here.
So it's an efficiency tool.
I use it as an efficiency tool, and I encourage clients to use it as a brainstorming tool. So it's like, okay, you get on the call, you don't know what you want to do. Well, you and I only know so much, and I only know so much about your industry. I don't need to know about your industry. I just need to be a good coach.
Right.
But we can use AI to go gather information for us and bring it back. And now we can dig, and we have a place. I want you to essentially go down a rabbit hole to explore and gather information.
Yeah.
So, for example, what are 20 types of jobs that I could do with this skill set? Cite your sources and then go deeper and deeper and deeper.
So things you may never have thought of, thinking outside of self. Like, I think, and it's worth throwing out here as a caveat, y'all. I'm not sitting here promoting AI. I am not bought. I am not, paid for. Neither of us works, for an AI company. And AI is very complicated and complex in terms of how it is impacting our climate, our future, and all of that. So we want to hold space for that, not ignore it. However, I also don't believe, it's inevitable and we can't whatever. But for those of you who are engaging in AI and or hearing messaging around it, I do want to hear, I always want to encourage, if you're going to use it anyways, the responsible ways to use it without watering down your own critical thinking or, I'd love to hear your thoughts on people saying like, I heard the other day that hiring managers right now are, this I actually heard directly from, I won't say the name of the staffing company, but one of the top staffing companies in the nation told me that, and I know you've worked with staffing companies, so you can tell me if it's true or not, but they told me that they're actually for entry level to some low level mid-range level jobs, especially around Gen Z, so many resumes are coming in that are AI generated that they are literally generally taking things that are, checked to be true, meaning like we know your credentials at least are accurate. And then they're just putting people on the job and then and seeing if they can hit the ground running. And if they aren't able to do it, then they're just removing them and replacing with another body because they're like, there's no point in sitting here and trying to have conversation around these resumes because they literally are carbon copies. Is that happening like with the keyword? Because
yes. So people are.
Tell us what we're seeing. Because we hear 1,000 jobs and we get to like 1,000 applications and we get dissuaded. But are they even real apps? Are they even real people?
They're
like
not.
What is?
So those two different thoughts. So one, people are not afraid AI is going to take their job so much as they are afraid that their resume and application won't get seen because of AI.
But they're turning in fake resumes, girl. Tell me about it. People got doctorals. Right. Tell me about it. Okay. Tell me about it. I don't even know anymore. What is real? Like people are using AI to generate their certificates. Okay. Like,
right. What you're talking about.
You know what I mean? Like this, we just want to know, like what's going on.
Yeah. So I always say, don't lie. but you can bend the truth to make it make sense. And it is up to you to be
The
ethical.
make sense part is real because people bend in truth and it's not, they're not making it make sense. So,
it is up to you to be ethical and moral in that, right? So for example, you can change the title on your resume.
What does that mean?
That means, so I might say portfolio manager is the same as asset manager is the same as some other kind of manager.
And does that matter for what the keyword may pull or?
Yep. So
got it.
People want to be so authentic, actually, and truthful that they're afraid to manipulate. That's my clients. My clients are not the folks that are doing fake resumes and things like that. And I always say, I feel strongly when I talk about resumes too, because you want to be able to speak to it, right? You want to feel attached to the information and be able to speak to it. So
and
even
you will have to at some point. I think that's the part that people forget. I personally heard that starting salary is like $1 million for AI software engineers in Silicon Valley. And I was like, how long could I have that job before they would find out? Because I need a solid 90 days of that check and it would be okay. You know what I mean? Like, but you know, at some point you're going to have to speak to it. And if you put me out there and I can't code, we might have a problem. So
exactly. Yeah. So don't be afraid of AI. Use it as a tool. I always say, don't be afraid of the ATS. I almost like refuse to talk about the ATS.
What is ATS?
Yeah. So ATS is a AI tool that HR or company is using to go through resumes and whittle it down to candidates, right?
Because of volume.
On keyword, because of volume. So based on keywords, but what is happening is a human is putting in, we have to remember that a human, like you said, the inputs is putting in, they want someone that has commercial real estate, low income housing experience, knows about bonds. Like there's going to be specific things that it's looking for. So if you're not qualified and you
either have it or you don't, right? So the keywords aren't, it's not like there's some like special algorithmic recipe where it's like, oh, I use the word portfolio instead of asset. They're going to look for both portfolio and asset because those are the same type of words, same meaning.
Right. So we just don't need to be afraid of it. And when I talk to people, I'm like, we're not going to focus on the ATS. If we have an effective resume, it communicates what problem you solved, how you solve that problem, and the impact and result you'd be solving it. Period. That's effective. Right.
That's
so
good.
if you do that well, the keywords will be in there.
And we don't have to make a narrative. I think sometimes people will get kind of like, you see this when people are buying homes or they'll have like a relationship with the dream job, almost like parasocial internet relationships where it's like, I was waiting for the call because I found this job that I knew would be right for me, but I don't feel like they even looked at my resume. And you're just kind of like, look, like if it's right for you, you'll get the call. You know what I mean? Like, and it isn't, you like, let's not manufacture rejection around something we never really had.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. That and in this job market, you do have to do the extra. And so the extra is tailoring the resume, making sure that it's good. Don't worry about the ATS and keywords. You just have to trust me on that.
LinkedIn right now has redesigned itself many times. I feel like I've been watching because I'm not a big LinkedIner. You know, I obviously have real estate there, you know, because everyone's got to exist on the platforms, right? But I don't utilize it. And people are always, you're underutilizing your LinkedIn, yada, yada, yada. I'm actually really glad I haven't made a home of it just because I've seen it go through so many iterations that it almost feels like I'm watching a prepubescent teen kind of come into its personal style, if that makes sense. And one of the things that I'm watching on that platform is how it's become another social media platform when it used to be very career oriented. So you've got this sort of war of the worlds, people who are on here genuinely looking for jobs in a market where people are shifting around in employment. And then you've got people on here who are telling stories, narratives, and AI generated things where you're just kind of like, are we just here to consume? So I want to know right now, if my LinkedIn profile disappeared tomorrow, would that even matter in terms of maintaining a network, or like, is it even a tool in that way anymore?
It is a tool that you can use
for career.
Yeah, and you could do without it.
Oh, that's good. No one's saying that. Yeah, people are like, start on LinkedIn, girl. If you want a job, find your network, hit people up, get in the DMs. But you're saying like,
you should use LinkedIn because it's so easy to find people. If I am looking for people that work at Dear Media, why wouldn't I start there? Right. So it's kind of the obvious low hanging fruit.
Sure.
But you don't have to have it to get a job. I have many clients that don't have an updated LinkedIn and they're fine.
How many? Okay. So I just want to know, like, real, if you can give me like a fake me out percentage, what percentage of people are actually getting jobs without using internet like weirdness? You know what I mean? Like through a network, or you know how people say word of mouth is the best form of sales? Like, is that like part of almost all of the things? It's like, oh, they ultimately got this because they knew someone at blah, 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 or...
Yes, and that's you need to do the extra part is we can't just apply anymore. So it used to be you just send out a bunch of applications, maybe make a few phone calls, and I hear this every week. It's never been this hard. I've never had to look before. I've never had to do this. Well, now you need to have a perfect job assets, which is a resume. You do need to do, a LinkedIn profile if it makes sense for your industry. It doesn't make sense for everyone's industry.
Right.
And then you need to be reaching out to people. So don't just apply. You want to get on. So let's use Dear Media. Okay. You want to work there. You want everybody there to know your name. You want it to be like, who is Rayla? Can somebody call her?
Why isn't she here?
Yeah, because she has contacted Nicole and Josh. Like she's contacted everybody. Does anybody know? So that's the point of it, is it's a competition.
Be undeniable.
So how can you get ahead in the competition? And that's by people speaking about you when you're not in the room. Your name keeps coming up. Your resume keeps coming up.
Or your work is in front of them. And you keep following up. And so you have to do that extra touch point of trying to find who's in the company, getting an intro call, getting a referral. So it's not only about who you know, but it certainly helps, because it might not be that you know them now, but you get to know somebody because you're hustling harder than the other applicant that's just easy apply or just doing applications and like hoping for the best. So for example, I tell my clients that live in LA, I'm like, you're in LA. This is what we do, grassroots. We used to walk up to places and hand out our resume, y'all. Literally.
Like you could do that, right?
You can, but people don't. That actually would make you stand out. People don't walk up with their resume and just say like, hey, I'm here. Like, I know people who, like, I've told my kids, you get an interview on the spot. Like, actually, like my daughter who's 27 got her job that she has right now in a tough market by walking in and saying she walked by the same place every day. She was like, look, I was walking anyways. Every day she'd stop in and say, when you're ready, you should hire me. And they were like, we're new. We don't know if we'll need anyone. Finally, when she walked in, they were like, we could probably give you a couple hours. Now it's her full-time employment.
Right.
That's
how it's done. I love that.
So true.
And hearing that from a younger generation, because
it's old school. It's because her mama, I was like, no, you better put them sneakers on, girl. Like if you're not, I always say, if you're not working, your job is finding a job. So you have the time, go do it.
Yeah. So get creative, you know, if you can physically go there, you know, and be professional, but just dropping off a well-written resume and a note, and you know, you see some donuts or flowers
face
or
to
whatever,
a name. Yeah, face to a name.
Yeah, you stick out. Of course, you're going to stand out.
Yeah, how bad do you want it? You know, and I know that, like, I mean, I hear stories, and where it's like, you showed up, and they're like, look, we actually are overstaffed or understaffed right now. Are you ready to strap on, you know, an apron and get to work? Actually, sure. You know, like if you're ready to work that day and that shift, and they're like, we'll let you keep your tips or whatever else, are you willing to? You might have the job, just depending on where you are, you know? So yeah, no, that's really good. So, okay, I kind of want to close with something that I think is important. I think that in an age where sometimes things can feel a little elitist, you know, where it's kind of like, you know, you hear stories, but you're like, that person may have a different suite of skills or different privileges and all of that. I want to know from a professional standpoint, you know, as kind of our final takeaway, what advice around career pathing would you give both the C-suite CEO and the stripper?
What career advice would I give them for career
about
pathing?
Choosing your career path? What do they both need to know if where they are right now is not there forever?
They both need to know that what got you here won't get you there.
I love to hear that. I love to hear it. So what maybe got them center stage, right, for that stripper that's working, if she's going to up level to her next thing, she's going to have to do something different.
Right.
He.
Right. Yes.
Right. Either one. And the same thing applies to the CEO. Right. Whatever got them that CEO job where they are, they're going to need to learn some new skills. Like, is that what you mean by like what got them there? Is it relationships? Is it skills? Like
all of it. Right. So you need to have a darn near perfect resume. Yes, it really does matter. It is a competition in the job market. You need to go the extra mile and try to find people at the company and have conversations with them so they're talking about you. And even corporate, right? So you gave the example about the restaurant. That's happened to me too. But even in my coaching role that I do, I have private practice and I do some contract work. I got that job on the spot, right? And so it happens in corporate as well. So that's not just, the sprinkles. So just to clarify that. But I'd say you have to go the extra mile and do the extra. You used to be able to apply to 20 things. You need to apply to 200.
Yep.
And it does sound like
wild,
right? But it's in the numbers a bit.
Yeah.
So you have to put in more effort where you could just call a friend and casually talk. You need to call the friend and ask for 3 more people they can connect you to. Like you really need to work the process.
That's good. From stripping to CEO, there is hope and possibility for whatever you want to do and be in life. But it's only going to happen if you're going to go out and get it. And you are helping us get it. I appreciate you. Y'all, you can have all of these details, access to Rayla and a healthy dose of hope. But if you look in the show notes, everything is there. Find her, use her, ask questions, follow her, because your other great job is right around the corner. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.